Topic of today's discussion is the new, but not yet Portuguese Citizenship Act. Okay, as we're all pretty much aware, by this time, the law was passed by the Parliament, but it needs to be enacted. It is not, I repeat, it is not yet effective. And the discussion of today will help us to understand where we are right now and what we can expect moving forward. So, list of content for today, which are these changes? Number two, where are we now? And three, assessing options for permanent residency on to citizenship. An initial forward regarding card validity. Okay, some of you might already have expired cards and you might ask yourselves where you're at. Well, it is important to note that right of residence remains valid for up to 6 months after the expiry date. So, for those who have cards that expired by June 30th of 2025, you will recall that there was an extension up to October 15. So our 6 months count, we start counting from October 15. Okay? If your card expired after June 30th, the validity of that card will expire 6 months from the date of expiry. Okay, so important to note that right at the top. Entry in Portugal. If you're going to enter with an expired card and within this 6 month period, of course, you need to bring with you your card, you need to bring with you your passport, and also proof of the renewal application or notification if it has already been issued. In terms of the backlog, okay, I would like to also highlight that, as you know, for many of you, we have been filing these subpoenas for the protection of freedoms and liberties. And this was the best route available in order to ensure getting the biometrics appointment, number one, and number two, getting the file approved on time, or at least quicker. Naturally, when we first started, advising this route was back in 2021, because, again, that was the most effective solution. I must say we took a bit of flack from some clients who were outraged at the idea of going legal against the Portuguese government, perhaps fearing some kind of backlash on their application. And as many of you will attest, there was only not any, or better put, not only was there no backlash, but effectively these very first legal actions against Seth and the Naima were incredibly effective. Naturally, as more and more people embarked on that pathway, cases started piling, the docs of the judges loaded up, and of course, today's reality is there are 133,000 cases pending. Now, AIMA, Migration Agency, has vowed to clear the backlog in 2026. And there seems to be some merit or some truth in the statement. From January to October this year, 386,000 cards have been already issued, which represents 60% increase year on year. Government also plans to allocate 74 million euro to provide AIMA with the necessary human and technological resources. These days, we're also receiving slews of notifications for those with pending biometric appointments. Okay. And most of you will have already received or will soon receive a copy of that notification. These appointments are being scheduled from January till June of 2026. So again, this is new proof of the government following through with their promise. So after this brief introduction, which are the relevant changes in the Citizenship Act? Number one, most important, naturalization. Naturalization means acquisition of citizenship through residency. And right now, the most important change has to do with the raising of these residency requirements. So for EU citizens and those hailing from Portuguese-speaking countries, that period is now 7 years, and all other nationalities, 10 years. Okay. Second most relevant change, computation of residency is from date of issuance of first card, which means no grandfathering provisions have been included in the bill. Thirdly, apart from the language requirements, which most, if not all of you, are already acquainted with, there's an additional test on Portuguese culture, history, and civic structure. The exact details are yet to be known, as of course, the implementing rules and regulations would eventually follow. May I request all the attendees, please, to mute their microphones, please? Thank you. There will also be a need to provide proof of financial resources. This is yet to be defined. How, and also for those who might have criminal convictions or prison sentence of 2 or more years, equates to a rejected application. And for children born in Portugal, they would only qualify for automatic citizenship if one parent at least has lived in Portugal for 5 years. Okay. So these are the most salient aspects of the law. But where are we now? As mentioned right at the top, is this law already in effect? No, it is not. When will it be in effect? The day after publication in the Portuguese Official Gazette, Diário da República. And when will that be? That solely rests on the shoulders of the President of the Republic, who can take one of 3 decisions. President may enact the bill, President can veto the bill, but eventually Parliament can override the presidential veto. Number 3, refer the bill for assessment by the Constitutional Court. What is the timeline for the President's decision? It's 20 days from the date that the bill was published in the Parliament's Gazette. If the President were to veto the bill, Parliament would have to take a new vote from the 15th day after the presidential veto. If the law is passed again, remember, Parliament may override this veto. President has 8 days to enact the law. If the President should choose to move forward with a constitutional test, he would have to refer the matter in 8 days, and the Constitutional Court would have to resolve in 25 or less. if so determined by the president. We have a similar matter, you might recall, regarding the Migration Act, which was also passed over the summer. The initial draft, initial bill that was passed by Parliament was referred by the president to the Constitutional Court. There were definitely some issues, and the Constitutional Court did highlight the rules or the provisions deemed unconstitutional, and these were redrafted or expunged from the bill, and a new law was passed and finally published. So whether this is some kind of harbinger of things to come, I can only speculate. But if there are any constitutional issues, and there might be in terms of the protection of legitimate interests of investors in the Golden Visa program, notwithstanding, of course, the interest and expectations of other residents that have chosen to enter Portugal through other visa programs, that will probably be a matter of assessment. But again, I can only speculate. Important. Can I submit now a citizenship application under the old rules? Old meaning the current rules, because as we know, once again, the bill that was passed is not yet in effect. So can I submit citizenship application in avail of the existing rules? Yes, you can. Just remember, of course, the key documents, your A2 Portuguese language certificate, your criminal record, and your birth certificate. I don't meet the requirements yet. What now? So if, let's say, you enrolled in the program in 2023, you're still far away in terms of availing of the current rules. So, of course, and as mentioned, the approved amendment does not contain any grandfathering rules, which would mean that we would have to wait for the president's decision whether or not the expectations and the confidence of the investors will or will not be upheld by the Portuguese state, and whether or not that would be enough grounds to deem these provisions or absence of provisions unconstitutional. So the best we can hope for right now is, again, wait and see what kind of reaction the president will make. Assessing options. So from permanent residency to citizenship, worst case scenario, if through whatever issues, reasons that might have been accounted for, there is no grandfathering provision, then we should place our thoughts with permanent residency, and we should be focused on securing permanent residency. Remember, that is a 5-year card. Once you secure the status, you are locked in. You would eventually have to renew your PR card, just like you renew your temporary residence card. But in this case, every 5 years. And you can only apply for PR 5 years from the issuance date of the first card. That was always the case. There has been no change in this rule. So before the amendment of the Migration Act, it was 5 years from the issuance of the first card. Right now, it is still 5 years from the issuance of the first card. And eventually, for those wishing to pursue this path, could apply for citizenship under the new rules. Of course, I do understand there are significant challenges, such as that of children above legal age and proving their dependency. But that would warrant a separate discussion. So assessing other options, because of course we do have offices in Spain, and for those of eligible citizenships, we are already working on this pathway specifically for those born in the Philippines and born in Ibero-American countries. We are already securing this new pathway since that residence period is just 2 years. And as we know, for these eligible countries, full dual citizenship is allowed. However, of course, the flexibility that the Portuguese Golden Visa program offers is not the same. Instead of the 14 days every 2 years mandatory presence, there has to be in Spain 6 months per year of mandatory presence, and you can remain away from Spain for periods of 3 months, 3 consecutive months at a time. So 3 in, 3 out, 3 in, 3 out. By way of conclusions and moving forward, we must wait for the result of the presidential decision. We will continue to monitor the result of that decision and the process. We will have to, of course, reassess the law when it has been finally enacted and published in its definitive version. Worst case scenario, evaluate permanent residency conditions so as to remain on the citizenship path. Number 2, divest and consider other countries or programs. Number 3, consider merits of litigation. There is already some stirrings amongst the legal community that if the worst would come to pass, then there might be grounds against the Portuguese state. Although, again, we are getting ahead of ourselves at this point, and that would need, of course, serious thought. And so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We're happy to advise each and every one of you on a one-to-one basis. You are all at different stages with different circumstances, and therefore no one solution or no one discourse or speech will serve every single person. So that's all from our end, or my end right now. And I'm happy to take any questions. If you have them, please drop them in the chat box.
Antonio, this is
Yes.
Farida.
Yes, hello, Farida. Good afternoon.
This act, should it be passed?
Yes.
Would it be retrospective?
No. Let me be very clear. Only moving forward from the date following its publication.
So those of us who have done the application, we are, inverted commas, safe, as it were?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And can you explain to me what you meant by the grandfathering rule?
Well, the grandfathering rule means that the current law, the one that was passed by Parliament recently, does not contain any provisions of a transitional nature that would allow existing investors in the program to avail of the old rules. Okay. So the only way to avail of the old rules would be to actually submit the citizenship application now. Because if, and I do underline if, the law is finally published as is, then moving forward, those who have not yet been able to comply with the necessary requirements would have to follow the new set of rules instead of the old set of rules. So that's what the grandfathering or the absence of grandfathering provisions means. That those that are already in the program and would like to avail of the 5-year residency period for citizenship in 1 or 2 years' time, or whenever it is they might be ready, that would not apply to them. Okay, so that is one of the issues that we hope would be referred to the Constitutional Court for assessment.
Hi, Antonio. This is Monica Lumaco.
Yes, hello.
Yes. Um, are families supposed to be able to apply for citizenship by about April or May of next year? Where does that leave us at?
Of course, well, as we know, the process towards naturalization is based on each and every applicant fulfilling the current 5-year rule. Okay, so
Yeah.
depending on when you are able, when you have computed or complied with the 5-year, you would be able to submit then. Of course, if let's say by April or May next year, the new law is already effective and there have been no grandfathering provisions allowing you to avail of the old rules, then we would have to look at different options, right? So of course, these different options mean, number one, embarking or continuing the residency requirements up to 10 years. Number
Okay.
two, spouses of Portuguese citizens who have been married for 3 years can also apply based on marriage. And for children, if let's say one of the parents is already a Portuguese citizen and the child is still a minor at the time the parent is or becomes a Portuguese citizen, then that minor would be able to apply or submit a citizenship application. Okay, that is about as much as I can say right now. There's still some way to go until this law becomes final, or if there will be any further changes, as we did see when it came to the Migration Act. Okay. Right now, it is only speculation. We hope, of course, and when I say we, whole legal community, that common sense will prevail and that the trust and confidence that every investor has placed in the Portuguese state will be respected.
Okay. So in terms of, you mentioned something about children being of not beyond legal age.
Yes,
But our kids have held a residency card
yes.
for several years now,
Mhm.
and they are of legal age at this
Yes.
point. Will they not be qualified anymore to apply for citizenship?
If, again, we're looking at the worst case scenario, then to be able to apply for citizenship, if the new rules are already in place, then instead of the 5 years, we would have to look at the 10 years.
Okay, and will they need to stay unmarried?
Well, at least, at the very least, until, let's say, they're able to submit the PR application as dependents, and remember that would be valid for 5 years. Okay.
Okay, so if they submit the application, then it's valid for 5 years. They have to stay single for
Well,
those 5 years.
it at least single at the moment of submission of the PR.
Okay.
Okay. And then after those 5 years, any further renewals, of course, if by that time they're married, then, well, we would have to possibly apply based
Hello.
on their own merits and not anymore as dependents. Okay.
Merits meaning their own investment?
Not necessarily their own investment. We don't know what the law will be like, but there are, of course, different visa programs and residency types that can be used as a way to secure residency. Okay. But nevertheless, of course, this is, and we're projecting ourselves 5-6 years into the future. And I think it is best to take it, one step at a time. What I can say right now is, according to the set of rules that we know, these 10 to reach 10 years that are required, we would need to process first the permanent residency status. And at that moment, to avail of the dependency status of your children, then they would, of course, still need to be unmarried at the point of submission of the permanent residency application.
Okay. So at this point, the rules have not changed until it's passed, right?
No, the rules, as mentioned, citizenship applications as of today still follow the exact same rules.
Okay, and once it's ratified by the president, there's 6 months for implementation?
It would, the bill states that it will enter into effect the day after publication.
Day after
Day after,
publication.
yes.
So if it's ratified by the president in the next
It's going to be
20
quick.
days, then
If that
it's
happens,
automatic.
it's, pretty much automatic, yes.
Okay. What about like, for example, my husband, he submitted his citizenship application last week.
That
Will
will,
this be affected?
as question I answered just now, that will follow the current rules.
Current rules. Okay. All right. Understood. So the best would be to just wait till
Yeah,
something final comes up.
exactly.
Okay. Got it.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you. So PJ, go ahead,
Hi,
please.
Antonio.
Hi,
How
hi.
are you? Yeah, I just wanted to check the previous provision of counting the waiting period in the requirement for the PR and citizenship. Is that getting thrown out as well if this new rule passes?
So
The delay, yeah.
yeah, the period of computation of residency right now is from the date the application was first submitted, or to be more precise, when the application fee was paid.
Correct.
Okay. With the new law, if once again there are no such grandfathering rules that would allow existing investors to continue with the older rules,
Right.
then the computation would start from the date of issuance of the first card, which would mean that the whole waiting period would be disregarded.
Right. Okay. Which is quite
you.
significant, but yeah, okay.
Yes,
So we'll just have to wait. Yeah.
I agree. It is very significant. Harris, please.
Thank you.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Yes, hi, Antonio. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
Can I take you back to the card validity part of your explanations earlier on?
Yes.
And this is regards to the I missed the gist of it.
Yes.
The extension to 6 months, the before June 25 and after June 25. Can you just rerun through that?
June 30th, yes. So depending on the date of expiry of the card, right, the current card that you might have, and I'm sorry, I don't remember what date of expiry right now is applies to
No, don't worry about
residents.
my specific card, but then I think
Antonio, our card expires February 2025.
February 2025. Okay. So, which means that was before June 30th.
June. Mhm.
Yes.
And therefore, the card remained valid until October 15. So the 6 months count from October 15. Okay. But nevertheless, as you might recall, we already received the scheduling for the renewals. So in case you should be traveling to Portugal before the new card is issued, right? Then just remember to take with you, of course, your passport, your expired card, and proof of that notification.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So in our case, basically, the expiration is in October, as you mentioned.
No.
Plus 6 months. February
Exactly.
plus 6 months.
Exactly.
October. So that our nomination day, I think, is the 18th of November.
Yes.
So that gap is very
ample
much
enough.
acceptable. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Maria, please. Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Thank you.
Yes. May I ask about my the reunification in my case? Is it going to be affected once the new law is passed?
Well, okay, there are two separate issues here. One is your residence card, and you still need to fulfill your appointment here in
Yes.
Portugal. Now, if the new law is approved according to the rules which I have just explained, and then it is likely, of course, that you would have to follow the new rules.
Okay.
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 So it's still, there's a bit of speculation right now because things could eventually change or turn around in some way. But we must be mindful of where things are moving and what we can do about it. And
Okay.
plan and prepare. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Just to clarify, when again do we expect that that it will be published?
Well, it rests on the shoulders of the president because it's up to him to take action. And he
I mean, the
can,
time frame.
yeah, well, he has 20 days, so I'm expecting sometime this month he will be announcing his decision.
Yes, 20 days from what day?
From the date that the law was published by the Parliament Gazette.
And that date was?
It was end of October. I don't have the exact date right now with me.
Okay, so probably around the third week
of November. Yeah. But
thank
he
you.
has, I mean, in the absence of referring the matter to the Constitutional Court or expressing a veto, he will have to enact the law. So the deadline applies to any of these three scenarios.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you. Let me just go to the chat box. About the process for including spouses applied to single, but will be getting married this year. Okay, so for those of you who might be adding new family members, like in the case of this applicant who initially was single when first embarking on the program and is now getting married. For the spouse, we need a copy of the passport, we need criminal record, and we need the marriage certificate to prove the relationship between the main applicant and the spouse. Okay, and then we will also be sending what is known as a sponsorship form, which needs to be signed by the main applicant. And with those documents, we can proceed to submit the reunification for the family member. Okay. Can you explain proof of financial means again? Well, I can explain what it means, but there is no defined rule as to what would be expected and what the applicant would have to show in terms of financial means. Financial means is when you apply for citizenship, according to this new provision, you would have to show that you can support yourself financially, that you will not be a burden to the Portuguese state. Now, where the threshold might be set, that is unknown as of this moment. Okay. We did biometrics February 2025, and when will I get a card and when can I apply citizenship of new law? Okay, so in terms of approvals, the last ones we received, I believe, were somewhere in October. And it's a bit of a jumble because there is more or less a chronological order that is being followed, but not to a T. Just to give you an idea, over the past few weeks, we've received approvals for those who attended their biometrics appointment in June of 2023, December of 2022, and November of 2022. So when client comes up to me and compares his or her situation to that of other friends or family, etc., and says, well, how come this person who went after me but got the card before me, that can happen? And it's simply down to different circumstances, like family members, if it's a big group or a smaller group. It can do with extra documents that are being requested. There might be also the effect of the subpoena against AIMA, which has egged on AIMA to be a little more efficient in that case. There are many variables to be taken into account. Okay, so I cannot say right now when someone who had their biometric appointment in February 2025 will be approved. Okay, although I would have expected a much faster processing, because with the new system put in place whereby you already pay your fees on the date of the appointment itself, not when you're approved, which is what a lot of you have already seen and gone through. But right now, whether it's a renewal or a first-time biometrics appointment, you must pay the fees on that date, not later. Okay? So nevertheless, we'll look into it and see how things might be moving forward. Just making a note here. Another question, 5-year rule. 5-year rule. No. Is staying in Portugal for at least 7 days a year correct? Yes. So the 5-year rule doesn't mean, in the case of golden visa investors, remaining in Portugal for 5 years. It means holding a card for that period of time. Okay. And during each card period, you must stay what is an average of 7 days a year in Portugal. So if the card is good for 2 years, it's 14 days. If the card is good for 3 years, it's 21 days. Is there, we have done fingerprinting, do we wait 5 or 10 years? Well, that will depend on what the final version of the law is or what it becomes. Right now, it is still 5 years if you are eligible to submit an application as of today. 5 years computed from the date of the payment of the application fee. But if you've not reached your 5 years yet, then of course you cannot submit that application today. And you would have to submit it according to whatever rules are in force at the relevant time. So it is likely that in your case, it will be 10 years because raising or lowering the residency period for naturalization is not unconstitutional by itself. What might be unconstitutional is the fact that your legitimate expectations have been breached.
Lanes to exit right to Edsa, North Service.
Sorry, may I ask for muting your microphones, please? Okay. Is there a change to timeline for naturalization of spouse or children under 18? Children under 18 upon citizenship? No, it's the exact same thing. That has not been changed in any way. Possible I just stay as PR status instead of choosing to move towards citizenship? Yes, that is possible. It is not mandatory to move on towards citizenship. Okay, the requirement is also your Portuguese language certificate, still the same, your A2 level, that's it. What will be the implication on my Portugal investment under Golden Visa? So for PR purposes, there are 2 ways you can go about it. If you keep your investment, then the minimum stay requirement is still that 7-day-a-year average, or 35 days over the 5-year period. Okay. So you can continue with that. But then, of course, we would have to refer to the specifics of the investment and whether or not there is a buyback or whether or not you would proceed with a different investment if you exit the former one. So that is the Golden Visa PR, and then there is the normal PR, where of course no investment is required, but then there is a longer minimum stay criteria, which is in a 3-year period, 36 months, you would have to remain in Portugal for at least 6 months, which is still quite flexible, not bad. Okay. So you have these two options. I am supposed to be eligible to apply for citizenship come September of 25, but I still don't have my card yet, even if I did biometrics last June 2024. So am I eligible to apply for citizenship already? Yes and no, because it is still mandatory to be in possession of a citizenship card. Sorry, citizenship card, residency card. So the computation of the 5 years is valid or will start from the moment you have paid your application fee. Yes, you fulfill the 5 years. Yes, but condition is you must be in possession of the residence card. Okay, that is the condition to avail of that waiting period as part of residency, the overall residency period. When we'll receive our first card? I only wish I could know. Unfortunately, the only timelines I am at liberty to discuss pertain to the approvals that we've received over the past few weeks and which I mentioned just now. We all families submitted application pay fees on February 2023 and did fingerprint on March 2025. Fees paid 3rd March already. Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Even if we consider the older rules, your clock would only start counting on February of 2023. So it is likely that you will fall under the new timeline of 10 years. When we can apply citizenship, 5 years or 10 years? Again, very likely 10 years. Again, let's wait if good sense prevails and there might be some grandfathering provision included or any protection afforded to the investors. Can we start a class action if the rules change? No grandfathering. Well, that is being considered actively. Okay. So I'll be happy to discuss that situation when the time comes. And if there is no, as you rightly say, grandfathering provision. Biometric appointment is scheduled for January 22nd. Could you please advise when I should plan to arrive in Lisbon? And also says, I do not yet hold a Portugal visa. May I enter Portugal through another European country? Thank you. So as we request all attendees of the biometrics appointments, it would be very helpful for you to come to our office the day before so that we can finalize the relevant paperwork, sign what needs to be signed, and so forth. Okay. You can enter Portugal through another European country if you so wish. We will need to provide proof of your flight reservations and hotel reservations, as mentioned. So please forward that at your earliest convenience. Just ensure that you have, of course, a valid Schengen visa. There will be a lot of GV applicants that will be affected by this new law. Is there anyone thinking about filing a lawsuit or something? Yes, well, as discussed, that seems to be in the cards.
Kenapa?
Then,
Oh, jadi
please,
berhenti.
sorry, please kindly
Hati-hati udah kamu jangan
mute
lihat-lihat nanti.
please mute the microphone. Thank you. If the new law kicks in, what do we do with the buyback golden visa? They can't sell during PR, right? if you still want to pursue or take advantage of the golden visa minimum stay requirement, then yes, you would need another, you would need to keep your investment. So I foresee different scenarios. One, if there might be some kind of renegotiation with the developer in terms of the buyback. That is something that needs to be explored. Number two, go through with the buyback and invest in something else. Okay. Or number three, transition to the normal PR, which, as mentioned, does require a bit more of stay in Portugal. Okay. Also, after 10 years upon citizenship application, they still need a valid residency during the waiting period, right? Yes, correct. So they need to be dependent, single, and studying at year 10. Yes. If say, I suppose we're looking at your children, if they're studying and dependent before, they would have to continue afterwards, or at least, as I referred to earlier, on the point of submission for the PR. If that PR covers not only the 10-year, but also the time needed for the processing of the citizenship application, then great. But if not, we would still need to ensure that the child is still dependent. I've gotten my biometrics in November 2023, but my adult dependents only received their appointment in March 26. Would it mean that we can only start our 5-10 years PR period from the payment of fees this coming March 2026? What if my children get married? Okay. Remember, under the new rules, if they become effective, rules I just explained a moment ago, then you would have to fulfill those 10 years in the absence of any grandfathering rule, once again. And the kickoff is the date of issuance of the first card, not when you paid the first application fee. Okay, but when you get the card. What if my children get married during this waiting period? Well, then that rules out the possibility of continuing the program as a dependent. So I have to be very clear on that.
Antonio,
Yes, Farida.
but when we applied for the golden visa at that point in time, applied for residence card and so forth, at that point in time, our children were dependent and we were approved on that basis.
Yes.
And then subsequently, we are applying for renewal. So I don't understand why we still need to prove that our children are dependent. Because if it's 10 years, our kids
No, well, in your case, well, remember, we've already filed. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we just need to ensure that we can renew the card.
Yeah,
Okay,
but if
for the duration of the processing of the citizenship application.
that's my only worry. If we don't get the citizenship approved within that renewal card, within that renewed card period.
Well, if I may, and perhaps this might assuage somewhat these fears, but for the renewal, at least the ones we have obtained so far include a 3-year period.
Yeah,
So that should be enough for this purpose.
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
I've done my biometrics in June 24, still awaiting card. At that time, no card fees were required. Exactly. My spouse and son have been invited for biometrics May 26, but my son is sitting exams at the time. Can we please ask for a new date after exams? If you have, or if you can forward proof of date of these exams, because we do have to submit evidence of any impediment. So I would ask you to perhaps some kind of letter from university or school, whatever it might be, validating or confirming that in such dates you would have to sit through those exams. Okay, so kindly forward that paperwork, and we will try to secure a new appointment. Having said so, and I've already been getting some feedback from some of you that would like to consider a rescheduling of the appointment. Just to give you an idea of the lack of organization, to put it mildly, we have been receiving notifications for appointments for investors who have already attended their biometrics appointment. And it's not one rare case. No, several. So of course, we have to alert AIMA that such and such person has already attended their biometrics appointment. Well, they should know, but apparently these things are triggered automatically, and there must be some kind of disconnect between their IT systems. And all of these appointments are being laid up chronologically in different offices throughout the country. And as you know, these appointments are individual, because another question I'm getting is, oh, my appointment is on such and such date, and the appointment for a family member is on a different date. Can we all go together? Well, to be quite honest, as of this time, no. We can, of course, try to capture AIMA's attention and request rescheduling. There is no guarantee that it will be given, because remember, right now they're scheduling thousands and thousands and thousands of such appointments, not just for golden visas, but for anyone else, any other kind of visa. Okay, so we can try. If you can provide any type of paperwork that would support that type of request, please send it through, and then we'll see what we can do. But I would advise, for the time being, that you can stick to the original appointment, because we all know how darn difficult it is to obtain any appointment. Can you clearly about my case? I and my family submitted an application February 23 and already did biometrics. So I need to wait 10-year right? Very possibly. Please explain new laws so affected who apply golden visa by investment. Yes, the citizenship law does not make any differences between golden visa investors and any other type of visa holders. How about my payback investment? When can I return my investment fund? As discussed, there are two different scenarios. One is whatever time tenure you're required to hold your investment for. If you're happy at that time when the investment period terminates to recover your money, then if you plan to move on to permanent residency, it would have to be the normal one, not the golden visa permanent residency, unless you decide to reinvest again. Is there a way online to find out the status of our application? No. Is there a GV area with an ID and a password? There is a GV area, but the only thing you will see is status pending. That's about it. You will not find that you're in stage A, B, C, D, or E. You will not find timeline with remaining days until approval. Either you're approved or you're not. And these type of queries would generally go unanswered. And believe me, because we do send these on a regular basis. Dates of exam are available only at end of December. I suppose you refer to the language exam, very possibly, but if I mean, you can go through the exam, sit through the exam, or the language course if such a course is available earlier. With this pending new ruling, where does this place people without any biometric schedule, but applications have been made years ago? Are there any steps we need to take? Well, not right now, really. So we have to wait for the president and his decision, which might or might not change the current wording of the law, which might have an effect or not. And then we can eventually reassess our different options. Okay, but there is nothing specific to be done at this point in time. I did my biometrics in November 23, but till today was an estimate getting payment. Yes, because until 2025, payment is only required upon approval. We haven't received that email yet. With the approval, there is no payment to be made. When does my qualifying period start? Qualifying period starts according to the law that is still now in effect from the date of the application, of the payment of the application fee. Remember, there are two fees. One is paid, it's the smaller amount. For some of you it was 500 and something, for some of you it was already 600. And that was at the very beginning. So that would be your starting point. Not the larger fee, which is to pay for the card, 5,000 or 6,000, depending on when you start. Okay. Will my spouse be completing the biometrics together with me on, again, these are individual appointments. Only the name in the email is the person that the migration office will be attending on the date. We have already asked that question. Do remember, these are slots every half an hour. So if they would accommodate anyone else, that would completely throw the schedule out of the window. Can we try to make a case? Yes. If you have any relevant paperwork that might support the case, please send it. We can always request an exception, but by no means is this guaranteed. I want to be very clear on that. If biometric appointment was done in June 24 and no card up till now, can we try reminding them that the card has not been sent and we are awaiting the card? Well, yeah, well, we do that on a regular basis. And no, these emails have no effect. The only thing that has proved of any consequence has been legal action. Those of you who decided to take the legal route end of last year, still waiting. No resolution, no action. Remember, over 133,000 pending cases, and there's only a handful of judges that are reviewing these cases. My application was approved in January, February 2020. It's been 5 years. Biometrics done June 2024. No card still. A2 done. Can we try applying for citizenship and see how it goes? Thing is, and I've said this before, the computation of the 5 years, including the waiting period, only becomes relevant if you have the card. If you don't have the card, it's going to be rejected. I mean, I'm very happy to process this for you. Very happy. But I need to be completely honest. And in all likelihood, that application would be rejected, so it would be a waste of time and money. Has anyone ever tried? Not to my knowledge. Again, if you want to, very happy to do so. We can discuss later. Has anyone filed a case about the issuance of the residency card after completing the biometrics for over a year already? Possibly. I would have to review we have dozens of these cases. Mostly it's for the actual appointment and ensuing approval of the biometrics. I mean, we don't just apply or we don't just request the appointment, but also, of course, the issuance of the card in the prescribed time as per the relevant rules. If we were to submit such a request right now, it's going to take a lot of time. There is no way, and I'll be very blunt, no way that you're going to get a reply or a favorable resolution in 3 or 4 months. Do you mean if application submitted date February 23 and 5 year can get PR right? No. No. As I explained earlier, to get the PR card, you need to wait 5 years from the date of issuance of your first card. This is a different rule. Migration has one set of rules. Citizenship has a different set of rules. Okay. To get to PR status, you need to fulfill 5 years, and it's always been 5 years from the date of issuance of the first card. There's been no change in that. So, yeah, I don't see any more questions right now. Of course, if you have any other issues that you would like to consider privately, to reach out and we'll be happy to discuss. There's one more question here. You mentioned the Spanish option. Yes, I did mention, and I mentioned it specifically for that group of eligible countries or citizens from eligible countries that can avail of the 2-year residency period. Okay, and within the group that is here today in this session, that would apply to citizens from the Philippines. Okay, and yes, we are already reviewing that option with a few clients. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that, very happy to help. Yeah, hoping for common sense to prevail. Yes, definitely. It's been a roller coaster ride for each and every one of you. I fully understand your frustration because believe me, it has been no picnic for us. We have spent many sleepless nights. We have fished for information, the official and non-official information, as much as anyone, and suffered the consequences of an extremely disorganized, understaffed institution. Could explain the many reasons why this has been so chaotic on the part of the Portuguese government, but that would be very little consolation at this stage. Okay. So to end this session, and there being no further questions, we will continue to provide updates as they happen. And once there is clarity on the way forward, then we will start, we will, of course, call for another session to explain what the final scenario might be. And until then, again, if you have any other queries, please reach out. I'd be very happy to provide answers in as much as we can provide answers. If it's within our power, of course, we will be here for you. Okay, so thank you all. Have a very good evening, and we will make this recording available to all of you, including, of course, those who have not been able to attend today. So once again, thank you very much, and
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Goodbye.